Welcome, explorers. Are you excited and ready to engage God today? Let's begin. So let's shift into union right now. So just follow after me. Who, as we begin to engage God as the architect of glory. So say this with me right now. Who? God, you are the architect of my life. I am fearfully and wonderfully made in your image, in your nature. And I thank you for creating me in your image and in your nature. You are inviting me in to discover more about who you are as an architect. And I thank you that as you share who you are, that I get to discover who I am, because we are one. As you are an architect, so I am an architect. Who? As you design and create and give life to creation, so I design, create, and give life to creation, because we are one. Who? There is no separation. And so I align my thoughts, my emotions, my time in this moment. I bring them into our union, our oneness as an architect. Who? And I settle and I rest in who we are as an architect. And it is from this place that I engage and explore and discover more of who you are, God. Who? Wow. Whoa. Who? So just continue for a moment to be drawn in as you listen to this. Awaken, explorers, to your oneness with Christ, where knowing Him is personal, hearing Him is natural, and responding to Him is life. Let's explore together. Yes, let's explore and discover more of who He is as the architect. So last time we talked about the Ark of the Covenant and how God has created a place and space in our hearts. Whoa, who? To meet with us, and how there is a Ark of Covenant in our hearts that He has created and invited us into. And so last time we talked about agreements and the agreements that we have within our hearts. And it's just amazing what God did, who, as He took us into His heart and showed us the hidden agreements that we had in our hearts that needed to be broken. Whoa. And how our hearts and our agreements needed to realign with His. Whew. So today we are talking about the bread of presence, also known as the showbread. So we're still sitting in Exodus 25. So let's read Exodus 25, 23 through 30. It says, "Then make a table of acacia wood, 36 inches long, 18 inches wide, and 27 inches high." And remember, this is God speaking to Moses. And notice already the precision in the measurements that God gives. He is so precise. Whoa. In what He does. Verse 24. Overlay it with pure gold and run a gold molding around the edge. Decorate it with a 3-inch border all around and run a gold molding along the borders. Make 4 gold rings for the table and attach them at the 4 corners next to the 4 legs. And if you like this content, hit subscribe now for new episodes. Make 4 poles from acacia wood and overlay them with gold. Make special containers of pure gold for the table, bowls, ladles, pitchers, and jars to be used in pouring out liquid offerings. Place the bread of the presence on the table to remain before me at all times. What we also notice in this verse is not only the precision that God has when He is designing and creating and even giving instructions, but notice how He uses gold to make the table, to make the bowls, the plates, the ladles. Everything He covers with gold. And gold is pure. Gold is lasting. It's a very, um, it's just a very pure material and very lasting. So he builds things to last. He builds for eternity. Whew. Wow. And we also know that gold is the glory. So he covers everything with his glory that is eternal, that is lasting. In verse 30, it says, place the bread of the presence on the table to remain before me at all times. Whew. So as I begin to dive in and meditate on the bread of presence, and I begin to look at the Hebrew words for it, it just unlocks some incredible things. So I want to share that with you. So first, notice how God is inviting us to the table. And what is the table for? It's for us to gather around. It's for us to feed and feast together. Whew. So he's creating a place for families to gather and feed and feast. Whew. One of the things that I learned today is that in Hebrew, or in the Hebraic mindset, when you look at the Hebrew words, the verb reveals the movement or action, which is the root word. So every Hebrew word has a noun and a verb, and the root word is always the verb. Who? So again, in Hebrew, the verb reveals the movement or action of the root word. So in other words, the action positions me. Who? I will explain more in a bit. Also in Hebrew, the noun reveals the state or position that results from that action. So in other words, it it's a position that empowers me. So when I began to look at the Hebrew words for bread and presence, which bread is, I'm not gonna say it right, but I'm gonna try, is lechem, and presence is panim. And both of those are the nouns. So when I began to look at the Hebrew words, the verbs, this is what I found. So the root word for bread is lechem, and it means to turn, to, it means to engage, to fight. And as I looked deeper into the Hebrew letters of that word, I began to realize that the first step, wow, the first step is I must open myself to be taught, guided, protected, and nourished by God. And then when I looked at the root word for presence, which is panim, it means to turn. I realize that I must turn towards God. So these are the actions that I must take in response to God. I'm going to make this all come together. So just stay with me. So there must be a turning. I must turn to God first. And then I must allow myself to open before Him and position myself as a child to let Him teach me and guide me, protect me, and nourish me. So that is the very first step, is the turning. So then the nouns for bread and presence. So the word for presence is panim. And in researching and again looking at the letters, I realized that once I move from that place of turning in and letting Him teach me, that I now stand in a place to reveal who His life and His flow through me. And that's the presence. And then when you look at the word for bread, which is lechem, it means I have now become the nourishment, the guidance, and to care for others. Because when I move into that word as a noun, I am now standing in a position to respond. So let me put it together like this. Once I've turned in to God and I've opened myself up, to allow Him to teach me, to guide me, to care for me, to protect me, to nourish me. Which means I am drawing from Him as my source. The next step is I become that source. I am now in a position to respond with everything that I have received, which means I have a responsibility. So I'll say it like this. I stand in His presence where life flows in me and through me. And from that place, I become the bread, offering guidance, protection, and life, to others. And so it made me realize what Jesus said about Him being the bread of life, that he is now in that place and position from the Father, whoa, to offer guidance and protection and nourishment, wow, to us in our journey. And then as we receive that from him, we become that for others. Whew. Wow. So we are going to engage him right now. Whew. We're going to begin to turn in and open ourselves up to him, to let him teach us and guide us. Whew. And nourish us and feed us. Wow. And then as we do, what we receive from him in that moment then empowers us and positions us, who, to then release that back out into the world. Whoa. So I just want to encourage you. You have full freedom to explore, to discover, to be curious in this moment. Who? You can be that kid in the candy store who runs around and touches everything. Who? Because our Papa allows us to. Who? There are no restrictions. Wow. So let's begin to engage him and let's see what he wants to feed us and nourish us with. Whoa, in this moment. Wow. So I just want to invite you to use your imagination and just begin to see a beautiful golden table before you. There's chairs set up. There's golden plates, utensils, and cups on the beautiful table before you. Whew. Whoa. And the Father walks up beside you and says, "Are you ready for dinner? Let's go eat." And you both begin to walk over to the table and you take your seat at the table. Whew. And just be here for a moment. Be present. Be aware. Look around. What do you smell? What do you see? What do you hear? For me, I smell the beautiful fragrance of lamb being cooked and roasted. Ooh. Wow. I see other people sitting at the table with us, taking their napkins and putting them in their lap. And we're all ready to eat. Whew. And I just hear a conversation flowing back and forth like you would at any other dining table. Whew. I want you to ask the Father this right now. What are we eating for dinner tonight? And just let Him share that with you right now. Wow, for me, He's talking to me about the lamb again. Whew. And He's just talking about how the reason that I'm eating lamb tonight is because He's teaching me how to surrender, how to lay my life down before Him. Whew. Wow. Whoa. And that's for all of us. Whatever He is sharing with you right now, whatever meal He said that you are having for your dinner, is what He is teaching you about right now. is what He wants you to feast on. As you learn to eat and feed and nourish yourself on the meal before you. Wow. I am teaching you wow. How to bring that very thing into your life. Whoa. Whoa. Feeding is receiving and establishing. What you feed on is being established. Whoa. Within you and within your life right now. Whoa. Oh. Wow. So I want to encourage you, just enjoy the meal. Enjoy what He is feeding you right now. Even more. Press in even more. Whoa. Whoa. Wow. Don't leave anything on the plate. He's saying don't leave anything on the plate. Eat everything. Wow. Eat everything that I have for you. Let it fill you. Let it satisfy you. Let it make you full. Wow. Just begin to see yourself picking up a golden cup filled with wine. The wine of His presence, the wine of His love. And just begin to take a drink. Wow. Let it go deep. Deep within you. Let it overflow. Wow. Let it overflow. Whew. Let it overtake you. it wash you. Whoa. Just drink, drink, drink in His love. Whoa. Wow. I'm actually feeling full. And I feel weighty. Wow. The heaviness and the fullness. Wow. He's releasing the fullness and the heaviness. Wow. Of His presence, of His love, of His delight in us. Just press in a little bit more, a little bit more. Stay present. Now say this with me. Thank you, Father. Thank you for this beautiful meal. Thank you that as I have turned in and I have opened myself up to you, that you have filled me. That you have made me full. That you have satisfied me. That you have made me heavy. That you have made me overflow. Whew. Not only with your love and your joy for me, but in what you have taught me about feasting and feeding. Whew. Wow. And how you have established that within me and in my life in this moment. This is the best meal I've ever had. And I'm so glad that I have a place at your table, Father. Whew. I love you. Thank you. And begin to come back to this moment. Whew. Oh, I feel full, satisfied, and heavy. Whew. That was the best meal I've ever had. Whew. And I hope you feel the same. Keep pressing in. Keep going to the Father's table and feasting and feeding on what He is teaching you. Whew. Keep clearing off that plate and letting, Him establish in you, whatever it is that He wants to in that moment. Wow. Whew. Keep turning in and opening yourself up to Him. Whew. And see what He does. I'll catch you guys next time. And if you like this content, hit subscribe now for new episodes every Monday. And if you want to go deeper, join me at patreon.com/awakenexplorers. See you next time.